Dave,
Yo.
Just for you, before the podcast today, I colored my hair. And you know what? I'm probably never going to say this again, but you were right about my camera, because my camera is making it look a different.
You better bring us in, Dustin.
I was going to say, we should actually bring in the show this time, because we haven't done that in a few weeks.
Brittany, you do the honors.
Okay. You just like putting me on the spot.
Hell
I know
I
this
do.
now.
Yes, he does.
I'm terrible when they do this. They're always like, Brittany, how about you do it this time? And I panic.
You're trying to talk through the panic. See? Now
Yeah,
you're getting your
talking through the
anxiety is
panic.
getting up. Come on, let's bring us in, Brittany.
All right,
Bring us in,
everyone.
Brittany.
Welcome back to the 5 Dirty Bikers
Brittany, are you going to do
podcast.
this today, or are we going to?
I don't know. Everybody talks over her, man.
think there's a delay.
Absolutely, it's irritating as hell.
And here we go. Welcome back to the 5 Dirty Bikers podcast. Today, we actually have a special guest, Chelsea, who started her own motorcycle community, which is called RideXsober. So welcome, Chelsea, for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That was actually pretty good, Brittany. Fuck.
You're welcome.
All right.
We may have to have her do that for the next.
I
4
know.
weeks.
Maybe that's your new job.
Nope.
I can
Not gonna do
try. So Chelsea and I, we actually met briefly at Fuel Cleveland. We were both a little busy, so we didn't get to talk a lot. But go ahead and tell us more about your organization for the rest of the guys here that haven't met you yet.
Sure. So RideXsober started as an Instagram page. I got sober in 2020, and I've been around motorcycles my entire life. My dad used to pick me up from school on his Harley. So this is like in my blood. And when I got sober and I would go to motorcycle events, I would get really triggered because just partying and motorcycles just go hand in hand. And I definitely partied hard while riding. So on my own personal Instagram, I saw other riders post that they were sober, like my friend Kevin he lives in North Carolina, I believe. And then another Kevin who lives out in California. So one day on my personal Instagram, I shared other sober riders. And one of my friends was like, hey, you should make, your own separate Instagram for sober motorcycle riders. And we just thought about different names, and the names that we had before were so lame. It was like Clean Bike, Clean Life. But eventually, I know they were really bad. But eventually we came to RideXSober, and the X is for collaboration. So we just post other sober riders just to bring awareness that, we do exist in this community. And I think a lot of the time when people hear that we're sober, they think that we're different or weird, or, we don't have fun. We're just, I don't know. People think a lot of weird things about it, but we're just like everybody else. You would never know, seeing me ride or seeing me at an event. So it's just bringing everybody together.
Well, and we talked a little bit too about how some stuff like that in the community, it's just, there are a lot of people out there, but since we don't talk about it, they don't realize that they exist.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and this podcast has kind of created kind of a group, we mentioned before we came on about our meetup every year. So it's a lot of like-minded people. We're not necessarily like party harders, drink till 3 a.m., doing all the crazy stuff that sometimes you see on Instagram. But I mean, when we get together, we have a good time. We do have people that come to the meetup that don't partake in drinking or anything like that, and they still have a good time. It can be done, in case anybody thinks it can't. Yeah.
Yeah. And for RideXsober itself, it's not recovery based. It's not based on anything political like that. It's whoever the rider is, their own version of sobriety. So there are people on there who just don't drink when they ride. There are people who are California sober. It just really
Wait,
California sober.
I haven't heard this.
You've never heard that?
No,
I haven't heard that.
No, it's basically when you're sober from all substances except marijuana.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not
that was
nearly
was
as
that a
funny
Tupac
as it
song?
sounded.
Oh, what does it sound like?
I don't know. I don't know why. It just sounded funny to me at first.
It's
like you're
it's-
only sober when you're in California or something.
It's become so common though. That's why Chelsea called it California sober, because I've heard it a lot and I knew what she was talking about when she said that. And so it's become all too common to use that phrase California sober. It's like, I have given up everything except yeah. Right.
But
I don't do drugs, just weed.
Yeah, I don't do drugs. It's weed. It's all natural. It's not a
goddamn
drug.
gateway drug.
Oh,
So you just said a minute ago that your Instagram page that you set up, you used the word political when you mentioned sobriety. Is there a reason why you would link those two together?
like the word, like using the word politically.
Well, because you
Or-
just said, we're not about. I don't want to. I'm trying to paraphrase what you said. When you were talking about, that you're not a recovery based. You said we're not recovery based or anything political like that. So explain what do you mean by that? Because I wasn't following that line.
So just we're not associated with any like 12-step programs or any recovery-based programs like that. I'm personally in AA, but I don't force those principles upon whoever is in Ride. They're like a part of Ride Sober.
Right.
Sure.
Like it's not a requirement. You
Yeah,
can be
it's
a
not a
part of it if you,
That's cool. So if I don't want to get too personal or anything, but was there a specific moment before you got sober where you said, I've got to make a change, I've got to do something different because I don't like the path I'm going down?
Yeah, I remember it specifically. I was in nursing school and I just got completely unplanned, blackout wasted. And at that point in my life, I didn't want to live anymore. And the thought just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, what if it's the alcohol? And both of my parents, well, my dad is an alcoholic. My mom is an addict. And I knew I could never go down the path of drugs. It honestly scared me too much. But just alcohol was full blown me. And it was just a wake up call in a blackout drunk one night. And then I called one of my coworkers at the time who briefly said that she was sober. And I kind of just like dumped all my feelings on her. And she's like, I've been there. Let's talk. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, no
Like
problem.
I said, I didn't want to get too personal if it was going
Totally open about it.
Okay. Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, because you said the word party, and I thought that was really interesting too when you said it earlier. Like, I've never associated the word party with drinking or drugs, for instance, right?
Really?
No, and which is bizarre
He
because
lives in almost Alaska, so
Yeah,
none of this competes.
I live in So I live about 100 miles from the Canadian border, and drinking here is a rite of passage. I mean, it's a way of life. I mean, I call we have people that go to the lake every weekend. I call them our lake alcoholics, right? Because they get obliterated from Friday to Sunday, but then they're completely functional during the week and don't drink at all. But they're plastered every weekend. But I never joined alcohol and drugs was synonymous with the word party, right? Because I think you can go to a party and those things don't have to be there, right? So I think that you can learn to be at a party or be in a party or in that situation and not include those things and still, have a great time. And that doesn't have to be part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand what you're saying, but like there are things in my brain that really like I can't think about. Like, for example, you saying partying doesn't necessarily mean to you drinking or doing drugs. That my brain really can't fathom that at all. Yeah. Somebody actually came up to me at Fuel and they saw one of my shirts that say sober as fuck, and they associated fuck with drinking. And I'm like, I don't know how that makes sense, but
I think there's a like, kind of like you said, I see both sides of it where I have the same perspective as Ryan. Is I don't think partying has to mean any kind of like drugs or alcohol or anything, but I think there's a lot of people in the world that really do. Like they pair it together, and that's if there's a party, you just automatically assume that there's going to be drinking, and and it can. I'm not personally sober. I don't drink very much, but I can imagine that that's a lot to go through and a huge change to go through in life when you used to drink and you're choosing not to, and then it's like you said, people just start thinking of you weirdly without meaning to. Like they have good intentions, but what are, if you don't mind sharing, what are some of the challenges that you faced when you did that transition?
In the beginning, I was scared of the choice that I made. So I lied to a lot of people when they were like, hey, let's go out. So just avoiding the scene. Honestly, my first year being sober I was like hit with all of the emotions that I drank over. So I cried so much, so much comes out. And in the beginning, you kind of do just have to take a step back from your social life. I did a lot of meetings. I just surrounded myself with sober people. And I mean, I thought that I was going to be like healed once I hit a year, but there are times even, I'm almost 3 years in where I do get a little weird at events and I'm like, I have to go. So, I mean, it's a never ending thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, I like when you were talking about the different levels of sobriety as far as what you were talking about. Like some people, like you said, that you support them, they just don't drink when they're riding or whatever. I would consider myself a sober rider in that respect. I don't drink and ride my motorcycle. But that's why I like the idea of a safe landing place at the end of the day, so I can have a beer or I can whatever at the end of my day. I never had the constitution. Like I can't. It's not in me. I can't be an alcoholic or a drug abuser. I don't have the constitution. I can't. I have a limit. When I reach that limit, my body's like, okay, you're done. You've had enough fun, and your day's over with. So,
you just got to push yourself, Ryan.
Well, I mean, let's be honest about it. Your bladder's like that small, so it's very
true.
difficult.
Right.
A third of a beer leaves the bottle.
It
Ryan
is.
leaves for the toilet. Yeah.
Once I break that seal, it's every 12 minutes. So I mean, there's no sense in. You just might as well just hook it up and stand in the bathroom then if you're going to do that.
Boy.
And the thing that I've experienced with this is like, it's not even just drugs and alcohol. Like the last event I worked, this girl came up and bought a shirt, and her definition of being sober was not self-harming. She's like, I'm 100 days from self-harming. And that was amazing.
Oh.
Yeah, I've never thought of it that way.
I didn't either.
But that's very true.
Well, addictions are addictions, right? It's just the thing you're addicted to may change, but it's the same principles.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Dave, you should get sober from that midget porn.
He's like, well, I'm not quite there yet. I hit the rock bottom on the midget porn.
I was going to say, I don't think that I have ever had an addiction to alcohol, but being in a culture that embraces alcohol, and contrary to what Ryan was saying and Brittany, getting together to have a party usually always in my world involved alcohol. And I had an incident. I stopped drinking for a long time, because I don't want to say I blacked out, but I didn't remember a lot of stuff people were telling me that I did the next day. And for me, it was a wake up call. And the challenge that I had, and tell me, Chelsea, if you kind of went through this too, but when you still want to engage with those people in those environments, suddenly you have to, I mean, at least for me, I found that I had to defend myself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What's wrong with you? Just go ahead, have a drink. Nah, And even now, when we go out and hang, sometimes I might have a beer, but most of the times I'm drinking water or soda or something.
Yeah, it's definitely bizarre that alcohol is the only substance you have to define not to take in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can relate a little bit. I mean, it's very different if you've chosen to be sober, but I mean, I have friends that every time they get together, they're going to be drinking, and it's not necessarily a problem. But there's definitely times now where, like, I just tell them, I'm like, look, I'm not drinking today. So if you guys are going to pressure me, I'm just not going to stay. I'm going to leave because I'm tired of the bullshit. Just respect my decision, please.
Tony, what's the line before you don't get triggered anymore?
Well, I don't know. Chelsea, for people that don't know out there, and they may not, I've been sober for 10 years. I quit drinking about 10 years ago. And, you know, when I'm in a situation like that and people pressure me, my line is, man, I'm a retired professional. You know, I've probably spilt more beer than you've drank in your life.
There you go.
So, you know what I mean? But now, in the earlier days, it was harder. But now it gets easier as time goes on. At least for me, it has. So now I can go and hang out, and if stuff gets really sideways, I'm usually pretty solid. If it's not, like Chelsea said, I just remove myself from the situation.
Yeah.
And in the early days, like you all were asking, I had to change my whole friend group. You know what I mean? Because our friendship was based around drinking.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when I wasn't drinking, it made them uncomfortable. You know, and their problem all of a sudden became my problem. You know, they're blaming me for their problem because I'm not drinking. It's making them uncomfortable. So, you know, you just have to. It's tough when you first start, but you know, it's worth it for sure because, you know, I was a tough one.
I think it's interesting too that we think about motorcycling and drinking is you know, kind of goes hand in hand. It's pretty synonymous. I have a good friend of mine that rides in my riding group, and he is also a recovering alcoholic, and he's been sober since 2018. And he actually asked you a question that we'll get to later in our Discord, but he said to me he always has to have an escape plan. So as long as he has a way out, you know, he's always been fine. But for him, he had to kind of change everything. And then, you know, many of his behaviors, he had to, you know, do different things. And then whenever he started riding motorcycle, I know that his wife was pretty concerned, you know, like, where is he going to land? And so he ended up in my friend group that we're all, I would say, fairly responsible and don't really do, you know, we don't drink and ride and those kind of things. And none of us are really, you know, really big drinkers anyway, just in any sense of the word. And so that was an easy transition for him. And then he always knew that he was in a situation where he was going to be safe and he was going to be, you know, kind of fine, which, you know, is one of those things that I've taken it for granted so much now that actually we had a situation this summer and we were riding in South Dakota and we had come back from a ride and one of my buddies said to him, hey, he was like, when we were on the road, he said, your back tire was all over the place. Couldn't you feel it? And he was like, no. And he goes outside and he looks at his bike and all the spokes on one of his back tires had broken off. His back tire, off of one side.
On one side.
So his back tire was just flopping like this. And he had his son on the back. And that just really elevated. So he actually went up to the bar and he comes back to our table and he had a can of beer in his hand. And I was like, whoa. I go, what are you doing? And then he turned it around and it was an NA beer. And so, you know, he just sat down and he's like, you know, and it was more or less one of those things like he realized he'd reached that point like, wow, this was happening on my motorcycle. I could have been in a very serious accident. My son could have been injured, whatever. And I think he might have been feeling a little bit of that trigger. And that NA beer, that just, you know, that took the edge off. and he was fine. But we were we were at Sturgis, is where we were, and he was very fine. We went downtown Sturgis. We were in a bar every single night at our hotel, and he was good. So, but he has to have that out. He has to have that, that way where he knows he can escape the situation, and then he's pretty fine. So,
yeah. While we're on the subject of Bob, he did leave a question in the Discord. I'm going to go ahead and put this out there just because we're on the topic of Bob. Deep Freeze Bob asks and says, statement first being sober is one of the greatest gifts for those who suffer can get. What made you decide to make it public and grow a brand around the sober lifestyle? Some people are afraid to tell their story because they might slip and fall. Thanks for sharing your journey. Sober date 9/14/18.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what made me decide to be public about it? Honestly, this platform did, because RideXsober became a business officially this year in February. And I think I started the Instagram page late 22. I just had this idea to start this. And since I was the one to start it, I had to put me out there. It was definitely a fear. And it was a fear in the beginning of telling people, because what if I do slip up? So I think having a greater purpose of helping others made me want to be vulnerable and share that I was sober.
Do you think that keeps you a little bit on the track now too?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like you have some more skin in the game, right? It's not just you, it's all the other people that are looking at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tell you what, if I have to get sober for Mountain Dew, life's not worth living.
There's no sugar in Mountain Dew, Ryan.
Yeah, I know. Well,
man, they gotta have something. That's what I tell people all the time. I gave up everything, man. Give me a fucking bone here,
Right. I've given up every vice that I had. I quit smoking,
at least give me caffeine or something.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Bob, thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Bob.
That's a good dude right there, Bob.
Yeah, he's a solid dude.
It's interesting being on this side of it and having more than one friend that's sober. I don't. It never occurred to me. Number one, I think it would be a dick move to pressure someone, right? So that never even occurred to me. But it never occurred to me to feel or exert any type of judgment for somebody who has chosen to be sober or has made needs to be sober for health reasons or self-destruction reasons or whatever it is. But it never occurred to me that would be a reason to judge them differently about like being in the motorcycle community. I wouldn't, the motorcycle community is filled with a ton of vices, right? And so why would we judge somebody who's sober? Because there's all kinds of other shit that's going on in the motorcycle community too. So being sober seems like such a small thing.
Usually the people that can drink casually, have the one or two, they don't throw judgment. It's the people that are heavy drinkers. Those are the ones that throw the judgment at you. It's because you're making them feel a certain kind of way.
Okay.
When unintentionally you are just by being sober.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's,
I think some of them feel maybe like judged or something too.
Yeah. So, it's not
like
the
I said, I've
casual drinker
experienced-
that's usually the problem. It's
it's
the semi-heavy drinkers.
Sure. I never thought about it that way because, for me, it's just not a thing. Like if somebody told me tomorrow you could never drink again, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah,
can't.
Seeing to me that doesn't compute because you know what? If somebody gave me a beer, I'm drinking 30. I'm not drinking one. And I'm probably chasing it with a fifth of whiskey. You know what I mean? I'm not fucking around. I'm trying to get to A to B as fast as possible.
Tony, do you remember at all, like before you chose to become sober, did you ever run into that situation where you had friends that weren't drinking and it was weird for you?
No. Because everybody
He's like, I'm just drinking, it doesn't matter.
0 seconds.
Yeah, we were all equal opportunity. You know what I mean? We did not turn anything down and we didn't stop. And it got to be to where, you were intoxicated more than you were sober during the whole week. So, things had to change.
I
I used to wake up, my wife would be like, you need to go and apologize to them her and him. And I was like, God damn. All right. Hang on. Give me a drink. I'll go down and
Oh
do that.
man.
But you know what's funny is because we're talking about the biker community, and I have the complete opposite experience. I don't, of all the people I ride with, of all the people I know in the community, I don't think I know one person who's a heavy drinker.
I think it's the community that we chose also.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Even outside of our family, right? I mean, just like the local people and stuff that I hang with. My problem is hanging out with younger people.
What do you mean by that?
That's creepy, Dave.
Yeah.
That's
what
creepy.
are you trying to say here?
He's like Uncle Percy.
He's like,
Yeah,
hey,
no.
my problem is
Sit
the
on my
little boy
knees.
sitting on my lap right now.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about the culture that that is cultivated in younger people as they go through college and and that social scene and stuff. And I've had a lot of occasions where I've had to remove myself from a situation, because I'm not drinking and everyone around me is drinking and start making fun of me and they're playing these stupid drinking games. And giving me a hard time because I don't understand how to play these drinking games. And I'm trying to explain to them, when I was your age, I was in the Army. We didn't need a fucking game to drink. It was a very different experience. But I have found myself at times just having to walk away and shake my head, at what I see.
Uncle Percy just dropped the "when I was your age" line.
I trust me, because and at the same time, I've told them I've done more shit in my life that would like drain the blood out of your face, rather than play
Gosh,
a
Dave, that's
drinking
very,
game.
very dark.
It's
Right,
true.
it is dark.
I
It is
I think,
October.
and Chelsea, I don't know if this happened to you, if there was a shift, but we talk about it a lot on our podcast, and I said it on multiple occasions. I actually just posted about it last week. I use the line "get in where you fit in," right? People oftentimes talk about, how do I do this? How do I, meet these kind of people? How do I find a group to ride with? Well, you go ride with them, and if it doesn't work out, then you find a new group because you realize that those aren't your people. You know what I mean? And that's like that. The motorcycle community is super cliquey, right? So you have to find, and that, I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm just saying that it is. You have to find the people that you want to ride with and ride with those people. Otherwise, you're not going to find your people. You're not going to find your crowd. You're not going to, you might wash out of motorcycling altogether if you don't do that. And I say that all the time: get in where you fit in, because if you don't, it's not going to work. Dave's in this transition period right now between motorcycling and trikes, and he's got to move over to that trike crowd pretty soon, because he's
There's
going to
no
need a
shame
place.
in that.
He's
There's
going to
no
need a
shame
place
in
to
that.
put his French vanilla frappuccino thing that he likes to drink all the time.
So Chelsea, back to something serious.
Back to the midget stuff.
Have you had people reach out to you because of your platform and say, "Hey, I need help"?
A couple people have. Straight from the internet, no, but people in my personal life have. Once I put it out there, yeah, they definitely have, which is such a great thing that people come to me now. And, that's another part of sharing publicly that I'm sober, so people can feel comfortable. And I don't post it often on my social media page, but if anybody is struggling in any way, they can DM me and I will hook you up with somebody in your area. They say like women with women usually and guys with guys. Somebody locally I know is having trouble with the law, DUIs and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, if you need somebody to talk to, I know plenty of guys that ride who aren't affiliated with me personally. So, yeah.
It's got to be a good feeling knowing that you're making an impact.
Yeah, it's very, I don't even know how to describe it. Sometimes I get in my head and I'm like, why? I'm just one person from a small town in Ohio. Like, part of me has like imposter syndrome. like somebody else or somebody bigger, somebody better should be doing this. But that's just my own stuff.
You got to think everybody that started something started small.
Right. Yeah.
This is like
Well-
this shows a perfect example. None of us that we're talking about the original 5. But nobody knew who we were. We weren't like somebody that was already big in a media scene somewhere and joined a podcast or started a podcast. All of a sudden they had thousands of followers right off the bat. It took work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the one thing to keep in mind in your situation is it just takes one,
Yeah.
right? I mean, if you impact one person and they impact another, right? I mean, it doesn't take a lot for you to really bring about change.
Right.
So, $1 million question, Chelsea. What do you ride?
I ride a 2014 Street Bob.
Street
Nice.
Bob.
Nice.
Oh, Street Bob.
I know someone that used to ride a street bob.
I used to have Street Bob.
Do you
did,
have the
Tony?
one? The 2014, is that the one? Does it have 2 headlights on it?
No, that's the Fat Bob.
Oh, that's a Fat Bob. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Look at her correcting me.
On the
I was going
Dyna.
to say you
Completely
could
got
have
the wrong
thrown you
bike.
could have thrown in a dumbass there. That's a Fat Bob dumbass.
You could have.
That
You
would have
could
been that'd have been
Yeah,
great.
You should.
Yeah.
Hey,
In
the
fact,
pow-
you should have.
the
Let's
power
try
of
that.
editing.
Try that again. Just go ahead, Chelsea. Say it. The Fat Bob, dumbass. Go ahead.
No.
The power of editing.
Dustin will find an audio clip. He'll throw
I've
it in
already
there.
got one in mind. You're
Yeah.
fucked.
How long have you been on a bike as a rider?
9 years, and I'm 28.
9 years.
Wow.
Oh shit!
Cool.
You've been doing it for a
Man,
minute.
look at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Riding longer than Old Man Winter over there.
Yeah, I don't know how if I would have survived riding in my 20s. I'm kind of glad I waited till later, feel a little more mature about things, especially since I got family, wife, kids, all that sort of thing. But who knows? It could have been different. But maybe
I used to have the 1 drink per wheel rule, but as I noticed, I just said 1 drink. I didn't say how big that drink was.
And that wheel just continues to turn.
You could always come up with an excuse, but
So-
yeah,
So if you were in a car, you could drink 4 schooners.
I could drink 4 like 24-ounce beers, no problem.
Right.
You weren't,
So
you weren't like
Well,
a
like a semi
semi-truck
truck.
driver.
Yeah.
were you?
I would just keep flowing, just keep it flowing.
60
remember
beers
a-
later.
Many
Kinda
a day.
scary, really.
Yeah.
man, yeah.
So tell us more about how you got into motorcycling. 'Cause I thought you said your parents rode.
Yeah. I grew up with my dad my whole life. I mean, he has had bikes my entire childhood. He bought a brand new 2003 Ultra Classic, straight from the dealer back when, Harley didn't have so many bikes on their showroom floor, ordered it. And he still has that bike to this day, would pick me up from school. And you just get too old to ride on the back of your dad's bike. I mean, I don't know. This culture is just so deeply rooted in my blood, like going to bike events. In 2004, my dad rode to Sturgis, and it's just in my blood. So it's kind of hard for me to wrap my brain around people who just decide to do it. I mean, good for you, but for me personally, I'm like, I don't know. It's just different for me.
You've just been around it.
Yeah. Mhm.
I think Ryan, you're kind of feel the same way. I mean, you grew up with it, so it's just part of your life.
Yeah, I did too. It's just
Yeah, as
something
soon as-
something you do.
I was on
didn't.
the back of a bike as soon as I could reach the pegs. That was the rule. You had to be able to reach the pegs, and then there you go. So
No. I had my old man rode when he was younger before he had my brother, and I had 2 uncles that rode, one that still rides. So kind of in my blood, but not the same situation you've been through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I actually am one of the people that just kind of started doing it.
So you didn't know anybody growing up, Brittany, that rode? You just one day
There
goes,
was,
I'm going
like-
to fucking ride a motorcycle.
Kind of. I mean, how it really went is you guys know me. I have anxiety, so I freak out about
No, you
stupid
don't.
stuff.
Not at all.
Girl.
So I got so to be honest, the first time I rode on a motorcycle, it was actually an ex-boyfriend, and him and his friend had sport bikes, and they were gonna go out, and they were like, "You should come with. It's a lot of fun. You might enjoy it." And I was just freaked out. I was like, "What if I don't like it? This is gonna be terrible." And that was it. I mean, as soon as I calmed my nerves down and I was out on the road, then I think for the next like 2 weeks, I kept asking, "Can we take the sport bike? Can we go take the motorcycle? Can we borrow our buddy's helmet again?" And he's like, "Dude, you can't just take someone else's helmet." I'm like, why not? He's not using it. It's a backup, And then I don't know. That's just it. I feel like people have said in the past that you either like it or you don't. So you're like, you end up going on a bike once, riding on your own once or whatever, and then you either keep doing it or you don't.
I've known people just the same way. It's like they get on it and they're like, no, not for me. And that's fine.
Yeah.
More room for me.
And Chelsea, is it true for you? Because I know it is for me. Once it was in my blood and it was there, it never went away. And I don't ever imagine a time in my life where it's not going to be there.
Oh no, never. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, my daughter, in fact, asked me the other day. She goes, it's those weird questions kids ask you. I have an 11-year-old, and she's like, "Dad, I bet you if you got into an accident and you had to choose if you lost an arm or a leg, you'd pick a leg, wouldn't you?" And I was like, "Yep." And she goes, "Because you can still ride a motorcycle with 2 arms, but you can't, or with only 1 leg, but you can't without 2 arms."
Have to get one of those automatic gull wings.
That's right. I'd have to get a trike. I'd have to get a trike.
Get you a Can-Am.
I wouldn't have to balance it.
Get Tony's
Can-Am.
They're automatic. Actually, I rode a manual one for the first time. It was pretty fun. It was the Daytona Can-Am Spider. Lot of horsepower.
I could say a few things about that, but I'm not.
You can. I mean,
no, I'm not. I might trigger some of the youth out there.
So have you run into situations now, Chelsea, where you've been out or you've been at an event and you're kind of displaying your stuff or whatever, and then somebody comes up to you and they have something to say about your decision? Have you had that happen to you at all?
Not really. Just people, I get weird responses sometimes when I'm like, "Oh, are you sober?" They'll be like, "For now." Or somebody asked me if I was the cops. I'm like, "Can you not read my banner?" So,
you haven't had any keyboard warriors confront you online about this, have you?
I don't
That's good.
think so. No.
Because people could be dickheads online, but
Yeah.
they won't have the balls to say anything to your face. Well, I think we have a few more Discord questions.
Yeah, we should hit them up.
Get to. Do you use Discord at all, Chelsea?
I have never heard of this application.
Okay, it's an online chat server. Like we have one for the podcast. We have between 700 and 800 people in there.
Oh wow!
And it's just a place you can go to and join, and it comes in really handy when we have our event every year because we give up-to-date information on what's going on at the event, or people can do little meetups, plan them there, or just have a discussion about all the threads. That
we have
there.
a lot of different categories in there, and it would be great. It's a great platform you might want to look into it, Chelsea. It might be good because it's like an online forum, and it's really
kind of like
cool.
going back to the Yahoo chat days.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's very common in the gamer society.
It's a community
the gamers
platform.
like it.
Actually, Tony's
But it
right.
works.
I would definitely it's something you should look at for what you're doing because it's and you can have it where it's private or public.
Well, I mean, you get some people in there, and they ask questions or need to talk to somebody, or just want to know how to get started. It'd be a great place to do that.
The best part about it, it's fucking free.
It's fucking if you want it to be.
Ours is free.
Ours is free.
Ours is free. A lot of people charge.
Oh.
And we were just thinking, why the fuck would we want to charge anybody to talk to us?
Yeah, no shit, man. We would have negative people in there. We got -5 because -4 because I wouldn't be in that motherfucker. If you had to.
So we got another question here from Dev RC Racer. What is some good advice for people that want to go and meet other riders at events, even though they may feel left out because they don't drink?
Meet other riders at events. I don't know. See, these are the things that it's hard to wrap my brain around because because I've been in this community for so long, I know a lot of people, so it's not like I'm building. I'm stumped on that one. I think, I mean, it's like anything else. It's like you're trying to find new friends as an adult.
That sucks, by the
Yeah.
way.
No.
For anybody,
Yeah,
it sucks.
It sucks.
I mean, I think
Well,
you just got to
don't-
do it.
You don't need them.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Well, Brittany's a
And
perfect
it's a tough
example. Like
question.
she took a chance just to come to one of our events to hang out, and look where she's at now.
That she had a plan.
Brave.
It was
She
all
had
a
a-
plan.
she
You
It
had
was
guys
a
think I
plan.
had a plan, but
She
I
was
didn't.
playing the long
I
game.
am a planner, but I didn't plan
No.
this.
Yeah.
I think
totally
the big
did.
thing on something like that is you got to feel comfortable going to a party situation or an event like that and just doing what everybody else does. Just because you're not drinking doesn't make you any different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's learning how to have fun in a situation like that without drinking is the hard part. And then when I figured that out, I was much better at it.
Right.
I didn't avoid them anymore. Let's just say.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a tough question, but I think just like anything else, sometimes you really just have to choose to go into it with a positive mindset because it's terrifying to do new things, right? It's terrifying to meet new people. If you're going from drinking to being sober, it's scary to tell people, and you kind of just have to get into your head and say, you know what? Fuck everyone else. If they don't like it, they're not for me right now because this is what I'm doing in my life. And you're either gonna like me and get along with this, or you're not.
That's kind of the way I roll.
I
I
think
know that's not always an easy thing to do, but it's just like anything else in life. I mean, you just have to kind of get
I
yourself.
think the
in
older
that
you get, the
mindset.
easier it is because you
It
give
is
less a
easier.
fuck as you get older.
right.
Yes,
You do.
You know what I
is.
mean?
Yeah. Well, I think
You
of it
give
like
less
this.
of a fuck.
Think
It's
of
like-
it as something that you have to do, right? Because Brittany, if you were terrified of new things, you'd never use a rest stop bathroom, right? But that's something that you have to do because
I'm not sure
I-
how
no,
the
see,
rest
I
stop
won't use
bathroom
one of
has to
those.
come in this one, but
Yeah, I'm not
It's true.
using one.
You
Listen,
got to pee. You got to pee.
listen. You travel.
You
if-
should know that, Ryan.
if you travel enough like Dave and I do across the country on your motorcycle, you use a lot of sketchy ass bathrooms, right?
Or
and you do
you
it because
find those
you do it because you have
hippopotamus
to.
plants.
No,
I look
I-
for
no.
less sketchy bathrooms personally. But
you do it. You
Listen.
do it because you have to, and so you do these things because you have to. If you're going to a motorcycle event, think about it as something that you have to do. Right? You have to put yourself out there to make new friends. Because if
Yeah.
you don't, you're going to be the creepy guy like Dave standing in the corner, and you don't want to be that guy, right? Because they're like
Hashtag not the safe one.
exactly.
Dave, you're
No, I
taking
mean-
a lot of heat tonight, Percy.
it's okay.
You just
Ryan
think
started it.
Chelsea
I
ought to
just
care.
it was a
Dave.
perfect time to throw
I
it
don't
in there.
need friends, and I don't give a shit what people think about me. So
See, Dave's
See,
got the
that's that age
attitude.
coming in. It's like I could give a fuck.
yeah,
I
because
have
when,
enough
when you
friends.
get older, it's easier because you look at the ROI equation a little differently.
Yeah.
Is it worth my time or effort? Fuck no, go away.
That's because you
Yeah.
have less time in front of you than you do behind
That's what
you.
I'm saying.
But that's how
saying.
it works. That's how it works.
Smart one.
That's a good business plan, Dave. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to think on that one a little bit, Dave.
But I
You
think
got me
that, there is part of that though. I think that plays into this. Like you really, if you're going to put yourself out there or put yourself in situations, you have to be confident in yourself,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you have to be able to stand up to peer pressure, or if everyone thinks you're weird, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
I think part of this too is like you don't have to go into these situations like I'm sober tattooed on your forehead.
Right.
Like just meshing in, kind of being like a chameleon and then seeing how these people are, engaging it from there. And I feel like that would be the best approach. Like I go to a line dancing bar almost every Friday and I'll talk to people, I'll hang out with them. But I don't go into every situation or every encounter like, hey, I don't drink. I just,
Right.
you're there for the experience. And I would say embrace that rather than feeling the anxiety of, are these people going to accept me? You'll gauge through that interaction.
Yeah.
I usually don't say anything unless somebody offers me a drink. You know, if they want, you want a drink? No, man, I don't want one. If they keep going with it, that's when I'm like, I quit. You know, I'm retired.
See, she just said something right there. I would sooner walk down my street naked than go into a line dancing bar.
Oh,
Really?
I mean,
I connected on that because I used to do line dancing in Nebraska, and
Why does that not shock me?
There's a short list of things to do in Nebraska. That's why.
Right.
Country swing dancing is so much fun. It is so much fun, but I
bet you they
don't
swing.
know of any bars or like places here that have it. So
you're in the South, Brittany.
Yeah, you're in Kentucky.
Come on.
don't know of any. I found out recently
it's like the
that
home of bluegrass.
there's a
No
place
shit, and in
in
Lexington too,
Right. I mean,
which is like the hub.
there's a place near Louisville.
you have more people married to their first cousins around there. You have to find a place to be able to line dance.
Family trees there go straight up.
Those are out in the haulers, guys. Those are not in Lexington.
Hey,
They're down in the holler.
Tony's not married to his cousin, so
we drove. We Tony was in Florida. We drove through from Louisville to Lexington, and I saw some shit on that drive. You know those people can line dance. I mean, you know it. You look at that house and you're like, that guy can line dance. I know he can. He's got more.
That's a different kind of line they're dancing on there, Ryan.
Well, hey, I'm just saying, a line's a line, dude. I see a line, I just want to cross it. That's all I know.
it's very true for you. Very true.
I think Kentucky is beautiful, but I think
It
one
is.
of the first times I rode through there, I stopped at a gas station and this guy, he had like this long gray mullet at a gas station, just walking, no shirt on, both nipples pierced. And I was like, where the fuck am I?
Good for
That
him.
is-
Well, how was
Yeah.
his tooth to tattoo ratio?
that's Tony's
So,
favorite.
so Chelsea, speaking of riding, what type of riding do you like to do?
Well, that's a good question.
That I like to do. I mean, it depends. It's hard because I am a full-time nurse, but I mean, I've rode to Canada. I did the Tail of the Dragon, rode all the way there. I did Trailer to Sturgis and Daytona, but that would be on the list one day to ride there. Not Daytona because it's fucking snowing in March here when it's sunny
Right.
there. But definitely
Where are you, Chelsea?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, right on.
So you have your opportunity to live that out coming up in July when we are having our FTBM meetup at Sturgis in Whitewood, South Dakota. I have to go through Ohio because I'm down in Virginia. So I go up and hang a left and come straight across. I can pick you up.
Yeah.
We can ride together straight out to Whitewood. And
And you're going to drive right past me. We could
Just
just
remember, he's
keep
not
it
the safe one.
going. Yeah, he's not the safe one.
I'm absolutely the safe one.
Might be. a
That's what
little
people
awkward.
call me, the safe one.
That's what they
Only
call
you
Dahmer.
call yourself.
That's what
Yeah,
Dahmer
yeah.
said too. Here,
I'm the
drink
safe
this.
No, but
That's what take the
seriously,
pictures.
we
That's
would
too
love to
far,
have you.
guys.
We would love to have you come join us at the
Hell yeah.
Iron Horse Inn.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
gotta
week
get-
before
yeah.
Sturgis. So what's cool is you can come do
Yeah.
that, then stay, and there's Sturgis right after.
We're there during the pre-rally when everything's getting set up, which is
Yeah.
perfect because you don't have all the craziness,
Yeah.
right? That's going on, and you can leave when that starts.
Absolutely.
Or you can stay. Like I'm going to stay.
Whatever
I
you
want to
like.
see it.
And if it makes it feel any better, the one of the owners of the Iron Horse, Andy, she used to be a nurse. I've worked in healthcare for 20 years, right? So you already have that connection right there. Right? And
I've
it
been
doesn't have to
treated
be
by a lot of doctors and nurses, so
it doesn't have to be weird like Dave, like I'll just pick you up on my way through. Don't worry about me.
You can't
I'll
even-
bring
you
an
can't
extra
even be a
helmet.
friendly person around you guys. Jesus Christ, you guys are perverts, every one of you. Every one of you.
See,
I forgot to
but-
make the ODB shirt for FDB membership.
Yeah. We're the
Gotta
perverts,
make
but when
one
I
of
told
those.
you it's time to get sober of the midget porn, you didn't say no. You just stammered through it.
Because
He did.
you interrupted me as I was
There was
trying
no denial.
to
Yeah,
say
you-
something.
I would have said
and,
no straight away. All you got to do
Yeah,
is nope.
no. I was trying to have a serious moment there, and you have to throw out the dwarf porn.
Hey, man. Little people need love too.
That's right. Right. How do you think, where do you think Frodo Baggins came from?
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I thought it was dildo baggins.
Oh, that's
Your
your
What you all
Frodo
called me
Baggins.
for what, a solid year? Yeah, I appreciate that.
Solid year.
Wear a blue shirt, you'll be 3 apples high.
Yep.
Start calling you Papa Smurf.
What's the
Yeah.
next question? We got sidetracked.
Well, that's it.
Dildo
That's
baggins
it.
came up and everything changed.
That's
I
it.
have to.
Yeah, that's it for Discord. But thank you guys for submitting your questions, Chelsea. So you got a website, RideXsober.com. You got merch for sale,
Yep.
and I also noticed this donations page earlier today. You want to talk a little bit about that?
So earlier this year, my good friend Sam passed away as a result of addiction. And she is such an amazing soul. She was a big part of my recovery journey. I was a big part of hers. And, when she passed away, I remember her saying, she's like, take me for a ride on your bike, take me for a ride on your bike. And she made such a huge impact on me that I decided to, one of my merchandise, the Sober as Fuck beanie, 10% of proceeds go to where the sober house that she was at and the Ed Keating Center, which is a recovery center. And you can also, if you don't want the hat, just make straight donations. But yeah, it's just keeping, her name alive and also helping others. And I think so far we've donated, a little over $70.
So everybody get over there, make a donation, buy some merch, support what Chelsea's doing because it's a good thing you got going on. And also check her out on social media on Facebook and Instagram. Do you use Facebook a lot compared to Instagram, or are you just more toward the Instagram part?
More Instagram. Definitely
Yeah.
that gets a lot more traction.
Yeah.
But I mean, I actually just started a Facebook group so other people can post sober events going on because I'm in Cleveland. So a lot of the events that I post are in Cleveland. A lot of people reach out. I've got a lot of following in Texas, and they're like, what other things are going on in Texas? I'm like, I don't know. So hopefully that grows and more people connect. That's been a big thing is people reach out looking for other sober riders in their area. So hopefully this grows and connects more people.
And like we said earlier, Discord might be something that would work well for you. I would definitely check into that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you one of the points that you made earlier that I want to continue to reiterate is that you don't have to be your version of sober is your version of sober. So like Chelsea said earlier, so you can still support the community and not be, you can support the community and support people's decisions to be sober and not, I wouldn't say that I'm sober, but I'm also not addicted and I'm not an alcoholic. Right. So, but
You're
I'm
just
very,
a dick.
I am a dick, right, for sure. I'm totally a dick, right? But I can still support my friends who are sober, so you can still support the community in that way too. So don't think because maybe you like to have a drink after work or on a Saturday that you can't support a sober community. You absolutely can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
1,000%.
And there's honestly nothing different that we do that we still do all the same stuff. Like I hosted a sober bike night with a local recovery center. We did the bike night things. We did a ride-in bike show, tricycle races, slow races. We still have fun. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Chelsea, do you have any other events coming up that you're going to be at or anything like that you want to promote?
I do not for this year. I'm not sure about next year yet. I want to hopefully do a camp out and a ride also. Again, unfortunately, with being a nurse, it is not super conducive to events.
Okay. Well, keep us in the loop. Let us know what you got going on. We'll share it. That's what we're all about.
Yeah. Doesn't Lowbrow puts that on, don't they? Or is it somebody else that puts that on?
Fuel, yeah, Lowbrow.
Yeah, it's Lowbrow.
Yeah,
The
Lowbrow
one who
does
kinda,
that. Tyler does
started
it. Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm. the owner of, like, I've had so many amazing companies back, like my bike night and the owner of Lowbrow.
We haven't had many dicks on the podcast, actually. Usually
You have one here every week. What are you
we
talking
got Ryan. So, if we judge everybody off that, nobody's a dick. Because he's like the supreme dick.
Supreme dick.
Yeah, he's the supreme
Can we
dick.
get to that Taco Bell?
Taco Bell Supreme Dick.
All right, there's the graphic for the
right, there you
podcast.
go.
I'll have it.
There
up
it
top.
is.
Wow.
The supreme dick. Just put a dick in a taco shell.
Yeah, just Ryan's face sticking out of a burrito.
That's fantastic. Maybe that should be your Halloween costume this year.
The Supreme Dick.
Wow.
No, burrito. Dress up as a burrito. What Dustin just described.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it does
That
remind
was-
me. We got to think of something strong for Halloween this year. It's coming up,
I know.
ladies and gentlemen.
I don't have any ideas yet.
Do you all?
My vote, we skip it.
What?
No,
I
ODB,
don't
we're
know.
not skipping Halloween.
I'm not
We-
a fan of Halloween.
We
but,
we live all over the country, and so we usually do like a Halloween
Live
podcast
stream.
where we dress up, and everybody gets a good laugh, at my expense most of the time.
You chose it for yourself.
I did choose it, and it happened. So
Last year's, so I guess it was 2 years ago, Ryan dressed up. He cross-dressed. He dressed up as Kim with blonde hair.
Oh boy.
And last
There
year,
was something
I thought,
to see.
I
Full
thought I
beard and all.
would run up him or one up him. Run up him. I
Don't
know.
run
That
up me.
sounds
Don't run
terrible.
up him.
Listen,
That doesn't sound good at all.
No,
I
that
thought I would
doesn't-
one up him, and so I actually was counting on him to dress up again and cross dress, and so I dressed up as Ryan, and nobody knew I was gonna do that.
It was
Yeah.
a
It
good
was
surprise.
fantastic.
so she had a nice homemade beard, and it was really
I
really
still
great.
think the dick sweater for Christmas was the best.
I do have that still.
that was really great.
Maybe
too.
I'll add stuff to it and just change it every year.
Wait,
I
so
don't know
Chris, you don't like Halloween?
Dave's just a holiday
It's-
downer.
it-
I don't
no, I'm
understand
not
it.
a holiday downer. It's just I don't like fabricated stuff, and I don't like things that take a lot of effort.
Well, there's nothing
Downer.
left.
He's a downer.
Well, there's
Like-
nothing left.
Tony's glory hole costume took about 3 minutes.
Yeah, so Tony,
I
Tony
took
came
a
up.
piece
If
of
that.
cardboard and cut a
Tony
hole
came
in
up
it,
with
took
a
a marker.
perfect, and every year he just adds on to it. It's a piece
Yeah.
of cardboard, it's
with a hole cut in it, and he
with a
just
hole
wrote
in it.
glory hole
It's
on the
great.
front of it, and he put it over the front of his microphone.
You
The
know,
greatest
but-
costume ever.
But having to put on, and now I'm really screwed this year because the party place that's near me closed, so I've got nowhere to run to last minute.
Just
To
order
buy
something
shit to
from
put on the-
Amazon.
Don't Spirit
Just
of
be a
Halloween
grumpy
pop up
old
everywhere.
bastard. You don't have to put anything.
Yeah.
God, yeah, I thought they were in every
Go
single
to a
town.
Goodwill.
even
You
the
can get a
small
costume at
ones.
Goodwill for nothing.
I used
There
to
you
enjoy
go.
Halloween until my wife told me I couldn't scare the kids anymore when they would come up to trick or treat.
Remember
Took
how
all
I
the
said
fun
he's
out of
not
it.
the safe
All
one?
the kids are in therapy now.
Yeah.
Going to Uncle,
Yeah.
Uncle Dave's house.
You can just get get one of those little boy puppet things, set them on your knee, and then change your name to Uncle Percy at the bottom, and your costume's done.
There you go.
I was thinking she probably didn't appreciate you dressing up as Santa Claus and sitting out on the front
Yeah,
step.
wasn't Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, we try to have fun for Halloween. Except for Dave. Dave just is here.
I just go along for the ride.
I like Halloween. As long as the kids don't come around.
See? And the little fuckers will. Even when you got the porch light turned off,
See,
you know,
he just hates
porch
every
light is
holiday.
off. I'm watching a football game or whatever.
God damn,
you
Dave,
know?
go buy a bag of candy and put it in a bowl, man.
The first one to
How
take
much
it all.
effort there.
You know?
Okay, there's no football game on Tuesdays, so what else is your excuse?
Right.
I'll come up with something.
Sure you will.
Dave, just put a plastic bag over your head, and then you can be a bag of dicks.
What was that? The unknown comic or whatever it was from that 70s show? or
Yeah,
whatever?
from the Gong Show or
yeah,
whatever.
from the Gong Show. Yeah.
The Gong Show.
Oh,
Jeez.
that's an idea. That wouldn't take a lot of effort. Just don't use a plastic bag. That gave me an
There
idea.
was a
Dustin.
little bit of intent behind that, but I mean, whatever.
That's what I think is fun.
I gotta find my glory hole costume.
It won't take much effort to create a new one.
Tony, you ought to do the whack-a-dick game and put your head in as one of the just have it come out like this.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that would work.
Wow, that's just not a line you hear every day. I gotta find my glory hole costume.
Do a whack-a-dick and wear a turtleneck.
Well, Ryan was talking about trashy highway bathrooms earlier, so
Dave or Tony, you guys could dress up as this. Now that I'm saying it out loud, it sounds worse than how I pictured it. You could just put some used socks or towels on and be a male's room while he's maturing.
Oh my
yeah,
god!
what?
I don't know how to say it without it sounding.
I know
weird.
what she means. I know
What did she say,
I'm
Tony?
glad you two know.
I don't
Yeah.
understand this at all.
Not that at all.
The
Tony,
engineer
you're always talking
you
about-
over-engineered that joke, Brittany.
Tony, you're always talking about how your kids, you find towels and socks,
Oh.
and you don't touch them. You
No,
tell
you
them
do
to
not.
throw them out.
You either throw them
dress
away
up as
or you
that
pick
for
them up with
Halloween.
something
What are you
else and put 'em in
suggesting
the
we
dryer
do?
washer.
Dress up as a giant sock that's been masturbated in, Dave.
Oh,
That's what she's
no,
talking
dude,
about.
that's just,
Brittany, all you had to do was say
No,
it.
just a kid's room.
Where's the
just,
kick
you
her
just put
out
a whole
button?
bunch of them over you.
That's like the most. We can't put that on the podcast.
What?
That's gonna.
Tony goes, what?
Man,
What
that
can
thing will
we put
drive
on
and
there?
scratch yourself on it.
Jesus.
I apologize, Chelsea. I'd like to say we're normally not
She
like
knew
this,
what I was
but
talking
that's,
about.
Yeah.
well, she's a
Actually,
nurse.
this is fairly tame.
I'm sure she's seen like emergency crap in the ER that, you know.
Oh,
No.
Were you an ER nurse?
No. I was an inpatient psych nurse for a year, and then I just took a job in pre-op and post-op. So, but before that, I was a nurse aide in the ICU. So, ICU, I've seen a lot of gross things. Inpatient psych, I've seen a lot of behaviorally unstable people. And now I see people who just need colonoscopies.
Oh, lovely. So, have you ever seen that show, Sex Put Me to the ER, or whatever they call it?
God.
That also reminds me of the
Way
show
to be,
1,000
Uncle
Ways to
Percy.
Die.
yeah.
Of which one?
1,000 Ways to Die. I feel like those could cross over.
No,
Oh, yeah.
no. That one was kind of gross, but the Sex Put Me in the ER is kind of funny.
I'm just 1 minute away from that.
You guys have never seen that?
Dave looks.
I mean, that
hold
could
on.
happen at any
He's like,
moment.
It's never going to be me because that requires way too much effort. Well,
All right.
Chelsea, thank you very much for putting up with our bullshit tonight.
Oh my God. This is the highlight of my night.
I'm so sorry.
Well, it was good talking with you.
It
It's
was.
nice to meet you, and
Me too.
incredible thing that you're doing.
Thank
Everybody, make sure you go check out RideXSober.com. Give Chelsea a follow on social media. Go buy some stuff. Make a donation. Support what she's doing.